And now, Hangar 56 Media presents Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
All right, happy Wednesday. Here with Zuckerman at his Baldwin Hills joint on a Saturday night. You're going to get a very, very different Spike and Zuckerman. We're very, very chill. And, we're trying to do a different day so that, Mondays we're agitated. And we don't want to agitate you. We want you to be relaxed when you listen to us. So here we are, Saturday night. Zuckerman has his shorts on. Before I chat with you, Zuckerman, Rob Schneider is coming on to chat with us in a minute. I'm going to interview him. That will actually take place a couple days from today. He's got a new comedy special. We're gonna find out everything's going on with our old buddy from Saturday Night Live, Rob Schneider. But first, Zuckerman, couple of things. I just stepped out of your 1M. As you folks know who listen, Zuckerman is very generous with his cars and lends them to me, Johnny Lieberman, Matt Farah. I think I do the best at taking care of them. But this 1M has been a car that Zuckerman has tried to foist on me over and over and over again. And
you resist.
And I don't like it. I didn't like it. But my son is turning into a little car guy, Jack, who's 12 years old. He's got his own YouTube channel, JF Motorsports, Jack Ferriston Motorsports. Check it out. He reviews the cars, the press cars that I get, and I don't feel like making videos, so he makes them. But he came to me and he said, could we please drive Zuckerman's 1M?
Look at him.
He's all about it.
He's in the know.
He's in the know. And we've been in every single time over the last 2 days. I said, all right, I'll go out and grab the half and half. I'll go get the bagels. I'll go do this. He drops his iPad, which is something that never happens. He puts down the media and he goes, I'll come, and gets in the car.
What is it that he is? What is it that he likes so much?
I think and Jerry spoke of this once. He said, like, these little cars when you're a little kid, you think, but he's like the blow. I mean, you know more about this car than I do, right? Why don't you tell everybody, because it's obviously not a stock 1M. It's obviously not stock, okay? So what is that car? What am I driving?
Okay, so you're getting a car that I think Eric from EAG in Ohio.
EAD.
EAG, not EAD, UEAD. No. And so I got it through him. It has an air intake. It has an air box. It has a blow-off valve.
The blow-off valve is what you hear when I get on it. It goes psh.
It sounds like a train.
He loves that. The kids love that because it's like their Fast and Furious movie, right?
Right.
But it's got to be at least 100 horsepower more than
it's chipped, and it's got an exhaust. And so it is.
So what is a stock 1M
horsepower? The stock 1M is 333 horsepower, and this is pushing out about 433 horsepower.
433. Wow.
Right. So it makes a considerable difference. The stock 1M is no slouch. And in fact, it's a perfectly balanced car, power, chassis balance. But you can easily, in that car, torque it up. And it becomes something of a monster, as you know.
Yeah, you said you can take off the traction control, but don't hold the button for 5 seconds. You're telling me, of course. Don't hold it because that turns everything off.
Right. If you just press the traction...
But the second you told me that's the only way I drove the car.
Right. If you have traction control engaged, it really is interrupting you all the time because the car is so powerful. If you hit this button once, it's right up there by the central air vents. It takes the traction control interference down by about 75%, but maintains some security. If you hold that button down the hole for 5 seconds or more, it takes it completely off, and then you're on your own, brother.
This is the ultimate drift mobile. Now, my kids love drifting, and I hope you don't mind, but I did some drifting.
Too late now. Hope you don't mind. I crashed it.
Well, I'll get to that. But coming on to Sunset, just to have a little fun, we came sideways onto Sunset. We did a 360 down at the airport.
Did you really?
Yeah. There's a nice little cul-de-sac down there, and they're always talking about doing 180s and 360s. And I said, hold on. And I had James in the back seat, and we did a nice spin. And he goes, I don't like this car anymore. Now I'm afraid. That's the 10-year-old. And Jack was just laughing, and the smoke was coming in. It's really The ultimate drift mobile, Zuckerman. You know, now I'm attached to it. Now here, I like it and I crave it, but I want to get that car down at like Thermal Club to their drift pad so you can have some fun on it because it's the perfect formula. The tires are still very grippy and they're new.
Not anymore.
Not really.
Not anymore now that they've been liquefied.
I didn't liquefy. I only did it a couple times, obviously on streets, but when no one was around. But I am really. It seems like a car that's very easy to correct, like that because the wheelbase is so short and there's no.
It's so
pretty
well
much
balanced.
You can pull it back and do whatever you want in it.
They really nailed that car, and that's the point I always wanted to make. When that car came out, I think it was I don't know, 50 or 60 grand all in. I want to say 62.
Yours is a 2011,
and
right?
It's
and
just
it was
2011.
56.
And I could be lying. It may have been 52. I'll have to check the prices.
No, it's somewhere between 50 and 60.
Yeah, and that's a lot of car perfection in that little package. And I love it's an accidental package because BMW did not want a 1M.
Right.
They felt it would cannibalize the 3M, and they finally, at the very end of that 1 Series run, they finally said to the engineers, okay, you can take certain things off the shelf from the M3, from the M department, and stick it in the car. And they made a handful of them. I think 700 came into the U.S., and it really is a better car than the M3 that was out then.
It, I'll say this. I didn't crash it, but now I think, some cars you get in and you're going to crash. I had a second close call in this car, Zuckerman. Now, not driving it like a wild man. We were headed down to some, I don't even know what it is. The kids like these racing scooters. There's little push scooters you get on, but they have the new racing stunt scooters, right? The place is down in Inglewood. So I was actually near here. And I was down on Howard Hughes. You know Howard Hughes Parkway is?
Yeah,
and
you
some
can really
dorky goddamn LAX people flying in, Zuckerman, flew across 4 lanes, and I jammed it. Thank God for this horsepower and this speed. I jammed it and braced because they swept across 4 lanes because they had to get to that exit.
Right.
They didn't have to wait, right? And I went. Jack said, you missed them by an inch, but it's only because of that speed and that jump.
It is a Froggermobile. I just looked it up, and it was $47,000 new.
Wow.
And that was not that was a good price back then. Even
I'm still terrified of the car. I don't like cars that I've had close calls in, and I had to. So the first time I drove it was with traction control on in the rain coming down the hill, and I'm like, this can't have any power. And I went sliding almost into the parked cars on the street.
So do you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
No, it's fantastic. It's just I'm afraid. Here's another thing, and maybe this is something that you BMW drivers know about. I told you today at the Whole Foods, I got one guy who said, that's a cool car, dude. And I said, thank you. But most people don't like me in that car. I don't think it was about my driving style. I think there's a sound BMW judgment people were making about me. I had a guy rage at me yesterday, and I don't even know what it was about, but I sense it was about that. There are a bunch of guys in these hot little like M3s and M4s, cool cars and wild colors that make noises. And I think and by the way, I like you guys. I have no problem with you. But I think people were looking at me, and I had my baseball cap on. I could have looked
kind of sideways.
I could have looked 18 like an idiot. And yeah, people were there was some hostility. Have you not noticed that?
I haven't noticed it, but I don't always pay attention. I'm the most hostile guy on the road, so I don't always. I'm generating so much hostility waves that I don't recognize anyone being hostile to me. I do think, though, that car is aggressive looking. It's black, and it makes a hell of a noise. If you had a stock one that is not nearly so loud and so angry sounding, and maybe if it was in white,
I like the sound. Make no mistake.
Of course you do.
But I think it could be the black of it all. I don't know. It's a huge hit, Zuckerman. The kids are absolutely in love with it. And as you know, if your kids love something, then you love it. So.
How old is Jack?
He's 12.
So tell him 4 more years. 4 more years.
I already let him drive it.
Yes, perfect.
He's already
He did
done.
the donuts.
I taught him how to drive the manual at 12 on the Volkswagen police car, which I have in your driveway right now. He did great. He already knows how to drive it.
That's what I
it's
did
fantastic.
with Dell. That's how I got him going.
I put him on a little pillow, and then he drove it. Whenever we go down to the airport down there, we do a little parking lot work. There's a big empty parking lot near the airport, and it's fantastic. Nothing makes me prouder to see my son drive manual. Anyway, this episode is sponsored by Blue Chew, Zuckerman. Cue the Blue Chew music. Let's talk about something we could all use more of on a Saturday night. Sex. Great sex. Guys, you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Listen up, BlueChew.com. That's blue like the color blue. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable Viagra. With the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, you can take them anytime, day or night, on an empty stomach, on a full stomach. Since they're chewable, they work twice as fast as the pill. So see, there you go. That's the idea,
That's
Zuckerman.
the pitch there,
Speed.
Ferguson.
So you can be ready whenever the opportunity arises.
You
Their
can
word.
snort them.
What's that?
You can snort them.
No,
you
you
can cut
can't
them
do
up
that.
with your
That's
Adderall and snort them.
Smokable Viagra. No, it's chewable. Blue Chew is made in the USA. It's prescribed online by licensed physicians, so you got to go to the site to get it. You don't have to go to your doctor, though, and you don't have to wait in line. It's even cheaper than a pharmacy, and they prepare and ship it right to your house in a discreet package. I think even if the package said Blue Chew on the
I would
outside,
give a fuck.
would anybody know what that meant?
No, they would think it's dog food.
No awkwardness. No, none at all. You're just chewing your Viagra pill, so you don't have to leave the house. If you could benefit from more confidence where it counts, go to BlueChew.com. BlueChew.com, and guess what? You got a promo code that's going to save you some money to try it free. Zuckerman, by the way, you want this, you just go there. I'll give you the code. There's a host code for you.
And what is that?
I can't say it on the air, obviously.
Oh, really?
People would be getting it for free.
I have a crisis of confidence in the bedroom. And you're there, and you're holding your head, and your girl is trying to comfort you, and you get out the Blue Chews, and you put them in your mouth. And what? How long, Ferguson? How long before you're Superman?
It doesn't say, but I imagine it says twice as fast, right?
Okay.
That's because, that's why I have chewable vitamins that I use, and I love them because they get into your system faster. That's the whole idea, right?
For your penis, What about pellets for your penis to chew?
You could try that.
You shove them in there?
If you want, Zuckerman,
Shove
you
'em
do
in there.
that. See what happens. Can your penis digest?
I don't know, but why don't they have those? Wouldn't that be faster? If you could stick something in there?
I don't know. I thought they had ointments at one point, and then the ointments got on your hands, and then your hands started swelling. And,
An ointment?
yeah, remember? Wasn't there some sort of that you'd rub on, but it got on your hands at the same time, and then you had big fat mittens, and I don't think it worked.
Oh, I don't know anything about a lotion that you put on.
There was an ointment. I swear there was.
Ointment.
Anyway, if you're interested in Blue Chew, go to BlueChew.com and use Spike promo code Spike911. It's a promo code that's going to get you some free stuff. Your first shipment is free when you use the promo code. So there you go. You just pay $5 to try this stuff.
For how many do you get for
What?
$5?
I don't know. I have to go online and do it. Blue Chew is the better, cheaper, faster choice. We thank them for sponsoring the podcast. BlueChew.com. Just use the code Spike911. Go to BlueChew.com. Use the code Spike911.
Blue Chew, stay hard.
Yeah. Anyway, let's review a car. And by review, let's chat about it, Zuckerman. These aren't...
Well, this was the Blue Chew of cars.
This was, Blue Chew interior for sure. The 2020 Ferrari F8 Spider. And thank you to Ferrari for giving me that. Mid-engined, rear-wheel drive, 2-passenger, 2-door convertible, hardtop convertible, Zuckerman. Base price $302,500, so $302,500. I don't remember getting a sticker on it, but I would guess with the sticker with all the options, it was up closer to $400, but maybe $350. Twin turbocharged, intercooled DOHC 32 valve V8, aluminum block and heads, direct fuel injection, 710 horsepower. There's the stat you want. 567 foot-pounds of torque. Don't really care about that. 7-speed dual clutch automatic. 0 to 60. 2.8. Very respectable 2.8 seconds. 100 miles an hour, 5.3. Top speed, 211. Fuel economy, like your 1M, 16 miles to the 16 city, 19 highway.
That's not bad.
What's that?
I'm surprised it's 16.
What was the color we had? We had Giallo Modena, which is a yellow with a beautiful navy blue interior with seats. All right, headline.
The horsepower is similar to all of the top cars, right? Like a McLaren or a GT2 RS.
The only cars I'm interested in driving are in this horsepower range.
That's the horsepower range.
Here are a couple. First of all, the headline is...
Superleggera Aston has that.
What's that?
The Aston Martin Superleggera
that
has
was up
that
there.
horsepower
Right.
and that same price point.
The power comes on a little differently, though, than this car. This car, I immediately fell in love with, Zuckerman. And if you follow this with my press cars, you'll know that the 48 Pista was the last Ferrari, or second to last Ferrari I drove, that I really went bonkers over. But it has this hyperspeed feeling, and it also it can get a little crazy, right? They managed to make a car with nearly the same performance that is easier on your eardrums.
The Pista, as you said, was kind of a GT3 version of the 488. Is that what you were telling me at the time? And this seemed much more plush.
So, but listen to what I'm saying. You get in this car and you have almost equal performance, yet it doesn't blow. They've now modulated the exhaust down in a way that your ears aren't blown out every time you drive it, except it's still got this buzzsaw, rhythmic, beautiful engine noise. And you don't notice it until like the third or fourth time you drive. You're going, what is different? Have I lost my hearing here? But I'm hearing a great sound, and this car is better than I've ever... What is that banging around?
We're still doing fireworks.
That's
in this
fireworks?
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay. As long as it's not gunfire. It's that thing that we would say, I remembered when I was in Germany driving the Carrera GT when it was first launched. And I got in the car, and Jerry and I were both there, and we both went, this car is too much for normal roads. The car has finally eclipsed the road. I felt that again in this car,
really?
Where I had a weapon. It was bigger and wider, but not too big and not too wide. And I just felt normal roads aren't going to have a chance with this machine. It's just that much better and more capable and faster.
Tell me again what the model designation is.
The F8 Spider.
F8
It's
Spider.
a Tributo, but they don't put the word Tributo in the name for some reason. So they just call it the F8 Spider. But this new Tributo, I'm gathering the coupe drives the same way, is an incredible car, Zuckerman.
Now, is there another F8 that's currently out, or this is the version you get today, or is this a step-up version?
The F8 Spider
Right.
and the F8 Tributo.
That's
as far as I know. So far, yes. This car is out right now, I guess. I got it right the week it was released, not before. But I was last. Lots of folks drove it before
Well,
me.
you're still on the list, though, which is very impressive, Harrison.
I have a nice relationship with Ferrari, and I love their cars. I do. And as you know, I've owned them. You own them. We love these cars. And this one, I'll be honest, I didn't like the Giallo. Modena.
Giallo. You
Yellow.
look good in it, actually.
Come on.
I thought so. It's a sports. If you were a sportsman, like a Briggs Cunningham sportsman, a swordsman, a playboy, not a married guy in Brentwood with 2 kids, it suited you.
Maybe it just caught me in a little space of the week.
It's a lot of yellow.
I didn't want any attention. But I love that color.
It wouldn't matter what color that car was in, Ferrison. You're getting attention.
I love that color, but I love it on the older cars. I loved it on my Dino Fly Yellow. I love it on like cars like your 275 or Bruce Myers 275.
Right.
That I love it on those old cars. On the new one, I just felt like for the first time I would black it all out. I would black it all out because it's such a weapon, such a fast machine, Zuckerman. And I really did love it, and it's so usable. And when you get in it, there is visibility, right? You can't quite see out the back, but you don't worry about it because it's got a big fat rear view mirror and 2 big fat side mirrors, and you feel very comfortable in it. You don't worry about starting it up in the morning and waking up your neighbors because it's loud, but it's not too loud. And it is, you probably saw on my social media, we took it to the Trader Joe's. Put 6 bags of groceries in it, and I had room for at least 4 or 5 more in the front. How about that? And now I'm the only guy with an F8 Spider at Trader Joe's, but that's what I like. I like using these cars in my daily life and taking them around. Fantastic car. Another, a couple little things that really I love is the way they have the little key holder in the center console.
Yes.
So you can sit up that beautiful red Ferrari key and you can look at it.
Why don't more car manufacturers have
don't
that?
know.
Why don't they have anywhere to put the fob? It bugs me.
I thought a couple people wrote that Rolls does it, and I can't remember who else. But the way the Ferrari one sits, it stands up on the tip and
Right
it's
in the
facing
center,
you.
yeah. It's a
And
good
when
thing.
you're at a stoplight, these are the stupid things that we like. You look down and you go, if you're like me, it's like, who cares who's looking at me? I'm looking at the key. I like the way it looks. That makes me feel good. It didn't have a touch screen, but it has Apple CarPlay. But here's what they do that Mercedes doesn't do, okay? They put the little control knob ergonomically. See where my hand is on the steering wheel? Now I move it to the right. It's wrapped around close to me, and there's that cursor control right there with a quick press of the button, and it's very easy to use. So I'm not distracted. My hand is close to the wheel. I didn't mind it. Didn't care that it wasn't a touch screen because the screen is kind of deep in the dash there, and it's small, but it does its job. The music sounded great. There's also this little USB port for your Apple CarPlay that has the little Apple icon on it. There's just one. It's just that simple, like, hey, you want it? Because, again, I feel like that's speaking to me. I want to sit down, plug in, and know. And on that first time I drive it, I just want the car to tell me what it needs to do. I don't want to have to crack a manual. And it did that. And I appreciate that. And I start to calm down. And directionals are still a bit of an issue on these guys because it's got the push button directionals. On each side. So I found myself, and again, I only had the car for 4 days. I found myself at least 3 times a drive looking down, and my blinkers directionals were on.
Right.
And I was, and it's a 2-position switch. Like you press it down, and you can press it again. You can press it down. You can also pull it back and cancel it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But it does get confusing. I don't have the solution for that. I imagine you either stop signaling when you change lanes or you get used to the cancel. But you are thinking a lot.
But for people who are not familiar with it, what Spike is saying, there's not a directional stalk on the steering column.
It's a button.
It's a button on either side.
Yeah.
Left and right on the either side.
It's easy to use. I just wonder if there's a way to have it cancel or have it tell you it's on, because that got a little bit annoying. And I just imagine that you would either figure it out in practice and do it, or there's a shortcut that I just don't know to figuring it out.
It's a smarter system. The problem is that you were hardwired after 40 years to use a stalk. So it's just a difficult thing to switch up.
Well, no, here's what it is. On the stock, when you want to do a quick double click, you just touch it, it goes dot, dot.
Right. It gives a short
signal. The Ferrari
signal.
might do that.
You just don't know how.
I just didn't know how to do it. But if it and I'm sure it does, and I'm sure I'm going to hear about it. But I didn't find it, all right? And I'm not going to blame them for it. It's an awesome car. Anyway, that was it, Zuckerman. I dig that car. I really like it.
And I thought you did look good, and I honestly do.
I left Cars and Coffee and got on a little bit, and I got a little sideways in it. I almost was I was almost the Mustang guy in Cars and Coffee. As you're pulling out, it was a lot of fog, and the road was a little wet, and I was like, hey, I'm going to make a little noise, and it was fun. But for a minute, I thought, ooh, I was almost Mustang guy. And then...
It is always Mustang.
Yeah. Well, with the hardtop too, I found I was driving it more with a hardtop down, but then there were these glorious like late afternoons or early mornings where you put it down and drop a kid off at their summer camp thing, and it was fantastic. Really great. Really mind-altering. I would do it. I haven't even built a car over on their site in a while, but probably a blue posi, like a dark blue, non-metallic, with tan hides would be good. I would do silver with light tan interior in that car. And then I would go, move in with you, Zuckerman, and just do all black and take all the badging off it, tint the windows, and that's it.
What about some of these vintage colors? Remember in 275s and Daytonas, they had these Nicholo, like the metallic coppery brown or a very... limeish green.
Yeah.
You think you could do one of those in a car like this?
It depends how I'm feeling. I'm not myself right now. It's hard to get into that zone, but I do like a very well, look what I'm driving today. I'm driving the Volkswagen police car. So
the antithesis.
It's less about the color. I just am really preferring vintage cars in the middle of this whole thing. I'm really into all the old stuff. And
So
before it hit in January, I was into the new stuff, and I wasn't even driving old stuff. And now all I want to do is drive old stuff. All I want to do is drive old stuff, Zuckerman. I love it.
Escapism.
It's the greatest. Yeah, I don't know. But even when... I enjoyed your 1M because I was shifting gears and I was thinking, and it calmed me down a little bit. And then I got into the 79 Volkswagen, and it was, again, an added level of relaxation under that. You know what I mean? And I imagine if I got into I'm going to take that Volkswagen to Cars and Coffee tomorrow. But if I got into the old Speedster or something like that, I'd be even happier. The fresh air is what does it. The Zagato is going in. And someone was writing about this, and I'll bring it up again. This is actually Steve Serio's rule. Aston Martin, New England. The Real Bond Group is his name. I think it was him who said the 110-100 rule that I've repeated on the podcast many times, which is when you get a car that's newly restored or newly built, like the Zagato, you want to drive it 1 mile, do a punch list, fix it. Drive it 10 miles, do a punch list, and fix it. Or was it 100? 110, 100, 1,000.
Or I've heard people say 100 and 400. But the principle is that you have to be aware that you have to shake the car down. You're going to see the immediate big things, and then there's going to be other stuff that becomes apparent or smaller stuff that you need to circle back on.
Yeah, I thought it was 100, 1,000. It could have been 10, 100, 1,000.
Here's what I'm going to tell you: that if you go to the auction and it says 5 miles on a fresh restoration,
yeah, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. You've got a headache.
But let's talk about it. So we did. We drove that car when it was first delivered, put together a punch list, and then John Wilhoit resolved it. We also discovered the VIN number on the car was a Super 90, so we also did some work on the engine. That was essentially the 110, quick miles on the car. Then Wilhoit said, drive it 500 miles and bring it back, which we're right up there. We're 500, 600 miles right now.
Right.
It's down in your hangar, and it's going to go in next week. And I thought it would just be cool to tell the audience, what has loosened up. Because it's not much. It's just little tiny things that are really going to make the car great. The gas gauge, if you imagine this new-bodied car that's really sloopy and flatter than a 356, there had to be a custom gas tank made, and it's very flat. It almost looks like a briefcase, except
really does.
expanded a little bigger. And the fuel cell, or the fuel sender, right? Isn't that what measures the fuel?
Yes.
Has to be a custom fuel sender, and it's located mid-tank, and it's neither Zuckerman registering full or empty.
Right.
I don't know if you noticed that when you drove it.
Yes.
It goes up to 3/4. We knew it when we drove it the first time, but I thought I would give it a chance to figure itself out. It hasn't. I was going to take it out and do a little work. I'm just going to let Wilhoit do it, because I get the feeling they're going to need a custom fuel sender for it, right? Here's I don't think the way, if you imagine in the car, it's sloped. So it's the briefcase isn't laying flat, it's sloped up. It's going to be really hard to get an accurate read. What I just want to know when it's absolutely full
And absolutely empty.
and absolutely empty, right?
Well, you remember
Middle ground is going to be impossible.
Anything before 57 in a Porsche had a stick. You didn't have a gauge.
Yeah, right.
You had like a paint stick, a dipstick.
Right, but I find that I psychologically can't enjoy the car if when I fill up the tank, it doesn't say full. It's a good feeling when you fill up your gas tank,
work.
right?
It should work, right?
When you got that full F and you're pinned, it feels good.
I like it when it's a little higher than full F.
Right, yeah, right. Because you feel a little higher.
Right.
You feel better. You feel stronger.
You're an A++.
Right. So they'll fix that. The hood latches front and back are a little sticky, minor little issue.
And
Use has not loosened them.
And you've got the little thing that holds up the rear engine cover. That
I
little
have that.
arm.
I wrote
one of
that
the bolts,
down.
One of the bolts fell out.
As the rear deck stay bolt. You don't know this, Zuckerman, but I found a matching bolt and painted it myself in my garage and installed it.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to have Wilhoit check my work. He won't like it. I used, I'm sure, the wrong screw, but it has been holding the stay in place, and it matches, and you didn't even notice. So look at that.
Excellent.
Passenger door looks a little loose. Little like it pops out just it needs one slight adjustment.
Really?
It might be imaginary, but it feels like it doesn't, when it closes, it doesn't close.
Yes, the shut line
It's
is
a tiny little
correct.
thing. And then I noticed just a teeny piece, little play in the steering. Teeny. And I can't tell if it's the CN36 wheel tires we have on there, which are like ball bearings on the road or whatever, but it's worth a check. But that's nothing, right?
Nothing. And then the only other thing, he quickly fashion
Oh, the rear view.
for the rear view mirror, a stalk for the rear view mirror.
Okay, I'll put that down. And there is a little flat spot right at 3,800 RPMs, and
That just could be the engine. Who knows?
yeah, because it's kind of a racy engine. You know, it's saying either drive me fast or slow me down, but don't leave me here. Right? And it's subtle, but it's noticeable. So that's what we've noticed in our car, and we'll update you on whether Mr. Wilhoit can fix that. Before I bring in Rob Schneider, go to blipshift.com. Blipshift.com. Let's do this like an ad, Zuckerman. Blipshift.com.
Hey.
To put in to buy the new Spikes Car Radio shirt. I think we only have a week left. This is our most popular shirt.
Hurry.
The most popular shirt yet.
The Zagato shirt.
The Zagato shirt is one of the most beautiful shirts we've ever made. We've made it in a beautiful color of blue. I think there's also a gray. There's a hoodie. You can get the better T-shirt with the thicker. It's an amazing shirt that you don't want to miss.
Don't miss out.
If you've been sitting around wanting to know how can I support Spike and Zuckerman's Porsche habit and the Spike's Car Radio podcast,
Don't be a cheapskate.
go to blipshift.com. Go to our store, the Spike's Car Radio
Send us
store,
the money.
and order this shirt, this hoodie, this girl's muscle shirt, these
Movie shirts.
these panties, says Zuckerman, with
Underwears.
Underwears. Yeah, they don't have a mask, but I really do. I've been wearing this shirt. I really am into it, and I'm sorry I forget the artist's name who did it, but fantastic job.
Good job. We don't know who you are.
No, I do. I just don't know his name. You look him up. You can look him up right now on your
I'm not
phone.
looking him up. You look him up.
I'm going to look him up while we're here. We should give this man his due for doing an incredible job.
Do for the do.
Well, you don't have to keep playing the music through the whole thing.
Yes,
or
he
if he does? Okay. Here, I'm going
Blue Chew. Let's go back to Blue Chew. Then will you have Blue Poo?
That's
Will you fart blue clouds like it's a giveaway that you've taken Blue Chew?
all right, here we are. We're right on the front page of blipshift.com. There's our store. Look at that. And we're right next to Matt Farah's West Side Collector Car Storage. He's got a cool shirt, Smoking Tire. He's coming on next week to talk about his Lamborghini trip. You press that, and then there's the Zigging Zag. This is their description, Zuckerman. They wrote this themselves. The best laid plans often go awry, but while the blueprints to this rolling sculpture won't resurface for over half a century later, the resulting partnership between one legendary coach builder and one illustrious automaker was worth the wait. Consider yourself lucky if you ever lay eyes on any of the 9 examples of this ultra special 356. Oh my God, I'm going to go buy a shirt right now. Here it is. Artist profile. Wait, then it's sending me to another
Finally,
page.
please.
Twain Forsyth. There it is.
Forsyth.
No, Twain, like Mark Twain.
Mark Twain.
Did the design for this with a love for both self-propelled and petrol-powered transport. Australian Twain Forsyth built his ace art skills from the ground up to become a veritable freelance Armstrong. Look at that.
He wins the Blue Chew Award.
Send some Blue Chew to Twain.
Twain. Never the twain shall meet, or never the twixt shall meet. Swiggins, send the boy some Blue Chew.
Send Taint some Blue Chew, not Taint. Twain.
Betwixt his Twain and Twain.
Where have Swiggins and Peabody been this summer, Zuckerman? Where did they go?
haven't been. They've been hiding out in the club.
What are you talking about? We're in Newport, where we've always been. Why? What's happening?
We're counting our capital gains. Why, Swiggins, I took a shellacking in capital gains this year.
You should have seen the loan I got for no reason. They gave me $20 million, and I don't have to pay it back. Completely forgivable. I put it all into Ferrari. Oh, Peabody, it's a good year. Having a great year. Lost a few friends, though.
What?
To something, they seem to be dying a lot.
Dropping like flies, Peabody.
Yeah, how did they survive? But I guess they're doing fine. Anyway, I can't tell you how my chat with Rob Schneider went because I haven't had it yet. But Rob is one of those Saturday Night Live guys that we just love. Him and Sandler, really great guys. Whenever you see them, Will Ferrell's like this too. It doesn't matter how many decades have gone by. You see them, they remember your name. You have a nice chat with them. They're super funny, down to earth comedians, and Rob Schneider, the best of the best. Here is my interview with him. There you go. I can hear you now.
All right. I don't know what happened. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. How do I get the chat? All right.
All right.
Now getting the video back on.
I'm running out of time, but let's see if we can do this. Let's see if we can do this. Let me make sure. Okay, let me just call Will off because he's trying to call you.
Okay. He just talked to me.
Okay.
He said, we'll do it at 2:30 or 5 o'clock.
Okay.
There you are. Oh, there you are.
Recording in progress. That'll be fun. We'll just leave all of that in. How are you?
I'm troubled during this time. But
it's hard, isn't it? All of this technology.
It is. Well, I didn't even know about this web thing. I mean, I just heard about Zoom like an hour ago. So, but
it's hilarious what I'm looking at because you have you got kids in the background who I can hear clearly.
There's yes. Yeah, you can have 2 of those.
It's your turn to watch the kids?
Yeah, I basically it's my time to do to promote my comedy special and watch the kids.
And you have a Band-Aid on your chin.
Yeah, I shaved this morning, and I shaved something off my face.
Oh, good.
You know what I don't have is a yes. Oh yeah. You don't eat that part, honey. No, you don't shave. You use the electric shaver, and when that runs out, you use the dry shaver. And I'm not used to using the dry shaver, so my chin didn't appreciate it this morning. But it's okay.
We're not using video. You don't have to worry about it. Okay. You know, look at me. I'm a mess too.
How are you handling all this?
I'm getting through it one day at a time. Just trying to get through it. But as a kind of introvert and comedy writer, I kind of like all of the being alone. I kind of like the buffer seats and staying 6 feet away from people. If only there weren't so much death, I'd say this is somewhat ideal.
Yeah, I know, except for the death part. But
except for the death.
I don't know. I feel like I've seen people handle death better. I mean, handling death better than the potential for getting sick, which is most people don't even know that. You know, a virus ain't that big a deal when you have to get tested to know if you got it. You know, usually, and everyone who had the plague knew they had something. They were dropping dead and stuff. They didn't have to do a test back then.
Right.
It's like, I don't know. Maybe I have it. Maybe I don't. I don't know. So,
well, we all like to imagine we have it, but we lost Hal Wilner, our friend from Saturday Night Live, to COVID. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did know that. I remember Hal very well. He's such a musical genius. You know, he had every genre he would know. I had the last time I talked to Hal was when he had accidentally mailed me his entire collection of albums. I don't know how it happened, but I had literally, they said, we have 10 boxes of albums over here at Sony for you. And I go, you know, when you get there, you go like, well, maybe it is for me. I don't know. But it was Hal Wilner. It was Hal Wilner's album collection. And for some reason, it just ended up with my office. They said, well, it's from SNL, maybe Rob, blah, blah, blah. And so we called Hal, and he goes, oh, well, they're at the wrong place. But it was just one of those things where he wasn't too familiar with how to ship stuff either. So it ended up just because of some SNL connection, I ended up getting all the albums, and we got it back. Do you
still have them?
No, we shipped them back, but he had some really great old stuff in there. You know, I mean, I did look through. I said, well, you know, it's the thing. If you get a package in the mail, you go, maybe it is for me. just in case it's gold bullion or something.
and you make a quick decision. Should I keep this, even if it's a mistake?
And then I knew it was Hal's stuff. And then I went like, oh, well, that makes sense, because it was like some old like blues albums and like stuff like very rare, obscure. I should say it just looked like obscure, rare stuff. And it was really good condition and everything. And then, so, you think for a momentary flash, I should keep it. It's a mistake. It's like, but like, and then if you know Hal, and Hal's a great guy, you say, wow, these are his. He's obviously going to want these. And he did.
So you feel like you might someday be a porch pirate, stealing UPS packages. That's what you're admitting to us right now.
Well, you just look. I'm just telling you the stuff that goes to your head. You don't do it. You think about it. It's like you're at a stop sign and you go like, maybe I should just go right through it. And then you don't. But that was the stuff that goes to your head if you're being honest. But speaking of porch pirate, can you imagine like if you got a guy, if you had a time machine, you're able to take like because. We had a porch pirate. Well, my wife and I and our youngest child, we had the diapers delivered, from the not so honest company. And I don't know how much time or money you're saving having them mailed to you, but so we had a big box and somebody stole the box of diapers, and I thought to myself, and they call it a porch pirate. Can you imagine like a real what a pirate or talking to this porch pirate, if you were able to bring him back 500 years. So tell me, you're a pirate, are you? So what do? You steal the gold, you slash their throats, and then you take their gold bullion and have your way with their women. What do you do then? Well, tell me. I just kind of sneak up and steal the diapers off the porch. I ought to slit your throat, you no pirate.
This is Rob Schneider, everybody, and he has his very first Netflix special.
Yes,
is that true?
Netflix original comedy special. Yeah,
Asian Mama, Mexican Kids, premiering globally on Netflix.
Why not?
August 11th, which is next week, August 11th, 2020. I was excited to hear about this. I love myself some Rob Schneider. You're. Before we talk about the special, you're just one of those guys, like when I think of like the nicest guys on SNL, and by that I mean the guys who remember everybody on the crew's names. I think I think Sandler, I think of Will Ferrell, just there's no different class system in your world, is there, when it comes to the crew? I always, and like you said at the beginning of this interview, before we can get everything straight, you and I haven't seen each other since, for 10 years on the Sony lot. I was going to a meeting. I walked by you and Sandler. I was like, hey, guys. Hey, Spike. God, I can't believe you remember my name.
And I was going through, Spike's a very easy name to remember. And you look, you have that look of like, well, that is a Spike right there. I've seen that guy. I know that guy.
It's a dog name, really.
No, but it's good though. But also Spike Mulligan. I mean, one of the greatest originators of what we do. Frankly, him and Peter Sellers and what's the other guy's name? Bacambi. But anyway, the gang. What was it called? The Goons. The Goons show was a very, very original, incredible show, which influenced very much. If you look at the Goons show. Harry Bacambi, the other guy, Succumbi. It's Harry Succumbi, Peter Sellers, and Spike Mulligan. And that was like, originally when the Monty Python came on, Spike was like, they're just stealing our stuff, I'm happy for them. They're doing us.
Right.
Which they were very silly kind of comedy, and like silly's the king, so. Anyway, I think of you in that
what you do though with your little group of guys? I mean, you and Sandler and Spade, it's a tight little like rat pack of comedians, and it's been around for a long time. You seem to take care of each other.
Well, there's a trust there, you know what I mean? Because when we have something funny, and then like I always tell Adam, for years I was telling him like, hey, why don't you just hire, Nick Nolte? And he finally did hire Nick Nolte, by the way. But I said, just hire him. I mean, I'll do it. But like hire, these other actors. And he said, no. I said, why? I said, because I don't want to have to explain to them what's funny. I know you're dumb enough to just do whatever I tell you. And I have, basically. I mean,
that's hilarious.
Some of those stuff I probably wouldn't have done now if you go back,
But you're just dumb enough to do exactly what I told you. I saw him maybe a year ago at the rec center in where I live, where our kids were playing basketball together. And he, walks over. He's there in his oversized shirt, looking for like some dad on a Saturday afternoon after taking the trash out. And we, said hi. But boy, my kids were so impressed that I knew Adam Sandler. And
I know
morning when they said, James said, what are you doing today? I go, I'm talking to this guy. He goes, I know that guy. I love that guy. He's really funny. And he goes, what's his name? He's just a character you've seen in a million movies.
It is really bizarre, though, because when you think about the impact, and because of somebody you just know, and then you know them, and you know that they're famous and everything, but to get the impact of it. And then there's two memories. I have one with Adam Sandler, one of like his gravitas, right, and how big he was. One was his at his wedding. I had to take a separate van after I drove there to get to the wedding, and there were helicopters, and I went like, wow, that's a sign of like, and helicopters that were not invited. It wasn't like these are people trying to get pictures of him, and that was just incredible to me. It was a tent, and you had to have security. And that was one time. The other time when we were in Ireland, when the movie Zohan came out, and I don't know why we were going to Ireland to show a movie about an Israeli spy, but we were there with the director Dennis Dugan, and that's where he learned how to really pronounce his name for the first time. He said, "Please announce, we'd like to introduce you to the director, Dennis Dugan." But on the way to the theater, I saw hundreds of kids running, and I went to the our driver, and he said, I said, where are those kids going? He said, oh, they're there to see you and Adam. And I was like, wow. And then there were like, you had 1,500 kids lined up. Yeah. And it makes you realize like kids don't lie. You got kids, they know. They either like it either works or it doesn't.
Well, we live in a generation where, you and I grew up and a movie came out with the people in it, and we went to that movie, and that was it. And then it evaporated. It was gone forever. And then occasionally, there was that rental period where you could watch it, but then those disappeared. But now my kids live in a world of just content. So they go through the Sandler Schneider phase, right? Which they're just every Saturday movie night, they were like, what has Sandler done? What has Schneider done? It's all, and I have to, and then there's a finite amount of films you guys made. So you have to go through them, and then you run out, and then they look, and they go back and start rewatching. It's a really interesting thing to look at.
It does. You realize how short it is.
Your comedies hold up, no matter how far back you go. And
thank you. Well, I would like to think just like the Spike Mulligans and the Monty Python, the silly stuff is forever. It is. The stuff that's culturally relevant, or I should say socially relevant, and that's the stuff that going back to like my heroes Monty Python, they made a real choice to go like, we're not going to say, not that they knew, but let's not hold us to a specific time, to our comedy, so that it just goes. And they just did stuff that made themselves and their friends laugh. And at your best when you're writing stuff, if you're making your friends and you yourself laugh, that's everything. That's the only thing that has a chance of working, and not the manipulated stuff. So I will say, like, the silliest stuff is the stuff that holds up. I mean, like, if they watch The Hot Chick, if they're over 12, then I think that's something that they could watch and have a good laugh. And if they're in a silly mood, right? A terrible title. That movie should have had a better title, but it is what it is.
Let's talk about the special, because we haven't really hit that. It's called Rob Schneider, Asian Momma, Mexican Kids. It's premiering globally on Netflix, August 11th, 2020. All I trailer, which looked great. By the way, I thought you looked great on it. I've never seen you look better.
You.
Did you train for this special?
I got in shape. I've gained all the weight back. It's like you have to do yoga, and you have to be physically to be able to move around. If you have a stage, first of all, if you're in a comedy club, that's one thing. I mean, most people why I wanted to do this, by the way, is because most people don't even know David Spade and Adam Sandler and I. And we all started. Everybody knows Chris Rock's a stand-up, but that's where we all started. As a matter of fact, more times than not, I'd go to a comedy club and those guys would be there. When in the 80s. if you were in New York, you would see Adam Sandler, Catch a Rising Star or at Dangerfields, and Chris Rock. And the same thing with me if you were in Northern California, if you go to the Improv in LA. So we all started out as stand-ups, but to really do it, we became famous before we had more than a half an hour of comedy material. So, but I wanted I spent the last 10 years working as a stand-up, and I really, to get great at it. It was the one thing I've made movies, I've done TV shows, but to really to become great at stand-up, it takes a decade. And so I put in the decade, and I wanted to just have this and get it done before the world stopped, which I was able to do.
Right. And
So-
there you go.
And and then no one else had the title, Asian Mama Mexican Kids. So,
Which is about your family, right? You have a blended family.
yeah, my wife's from Mexico, my mom's from the Philippines, so it was people don't even. I know people look at me and go, I know there's something in there, we don't know what. So,
Well, I'm excited about seeing it. I wish we had figured out our tech better. I apologize for that.
me too. I just I don't have an assistant here. You have I have a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old who help me out.
They're cute as hell.
Thank you.
And it's very down to earth and nice that you're with them today in the middle of all this. Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you come back at some point and we can do, a proper talk? Because I'd love to get back into SNL and those days and the movies.
Yeah,
and
those were fun times.
And I thought I read somewhere that you were a Porsche guy too, that you have a Porsche 911 or had one. And
Speedster.
You had a Speedster?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you had a 58 Speedster.
55. That's the real one.
Who owned that car?
That's the one they let you go into Mila Mila. Well,
The Mille Miglia.
Yeah, that's right. And so you have to be 55, or the cars have to be from 1955 or earlier. And it's basically you just drive to the next place to get pasta and wine.
But was this car a McQueen car?
Steve McQueen's Speedster. Yeah.
You owned a 55 Speedster that belonged to Steve McQueen.
Yeah. I don't anymore.
I could see by your face. Who did you sell it to?
It's now in China. It's now in Shanghai.
Really?
Yeah. You know how everyone has a price for something?
Yes. You had a
Me
price. That's good. Everybody does. Look, we all buy and sell cars. I do it all the time. That's fine.
That's
But
hard one. That's a hard one to let go.
I know he had a 58, and I know where that car is. His son Chad has it. But the 55,
yeah, I mean that was the that was the rumor that got to me, that he drove it, whatever, and I have a picture of him, and so chances are if he owned it or not, that was the rumor that I put out there.
Wow.
Yes. So
so there you go.
He owned the 50 on the 58. Chad has that, yeah, and then also the Solar. What is his company?
Solar Productions.
Solar Productions, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all pretty well marked, but no,
there's
mine
a
was
70S flying around there. Seinfeld has the 917 that was used in the movie Le Mans.
That's
those cars have gone through the roof, and I don't think there's much awareness of this 55 Speedster. I'd like to know more about that.
Yes, I'll show you the pictures. I'll look for it.
We'll do it. Anyway, the schedule. I mean, the new show is Rob Schneider. It's a Netflix special, Asian Mama Mexican Kids, premiering
Asian Mama
globally.
February, a week from in a week.
11th.
Let's do it. And so, what's your Porsche? If there's a fire, you got to take your car with you.
I'm really enjoying this old Zagato 356 Porsche that I'm driving, and just a basic 82 911 Targa. That's what's in the garage.
Oh yeah, that's good. That'll work.
And you take the top off, you drive on the PCH, and it feels like there are no problems in the world for 5 minutes, and
all's good. All right, brother. All the best to you, Spike.
All right. Well, that was Rob Schneider. What'd you think, Zuckerman?
He's fantastic.
You didn't hear anything. It's Saturday.
We're still sitting here.
It hasn't happened yet.
Don't give us up.
But this was fun. This was a nice Saturday night vibe. I hope you guys liked it. I know we're a little more chill and less aggressive than you're used to, but that's what you get on Saturday night with Spike and Zuckerman. And our sincerest hopes that you stay safe. Our sincerest hopes that it's Wednesday and there's still baseball. God, I hope there's still baseball, but I'm hearing it's going to go away. Stay healthy. Get in your car and drive and enjoy it. Have yourselves a nice summer week, and we'll see you next week on Spike's Car Radio.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio, brought to you by Hangar 56. Listen to new episodes every Wednesday, and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.